It was when I felt totally and completely lost, because it was the point at which I'd realized that the way I was living life wasn't working for me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And coming to terms with the realization that I did not know another way. And yet I needed to let this old way go. And
Yeah.
that felt frightening
Mm.
because my mind did not have any other thing to lean on. So it was
Mm-hmm.
literally kind of, jumping into an abyss, trusting that something will, you know,
Mm.
reveal itself in terms of there's got to be another way. I just don't know what it is.
We are live. So today I'm very happy to welcome Sandeep in the podcast. Sandeep Gandhi is the founder of Tadav Yoga. He works with yoga, breath, meditation, and Vedic astrology. His work is not about quick fixes. It's about going deeper, listening to your body, understanding your energy, and living in alignment with who you truly are. Through his teachings, readings, and retreats, he helps people reconnect with their inner truth and life path. So Sandeep brings Asian wisdom into modern life in a grounded and real way. I am grateful to have him here today. Welcome, Sandeep.
Thank you, brother. Grateful to be here. Grateful to have the listeners tuning in. So thank you all for being here.
I'm super happy. So I want to start asking, how do you feel today?
I feel good. I feel a lot of gratitude for this container and just the opportunity to have the exchange that's about to unfold. Yeah, I do feel a little bit nervousness. I can feel that, but I can also feel it dissipating as we speak more and more.
Yeah, I feel you, and that's totally normal. I'm also a bit nervous. it's
Mhm.
always it's always like that. I would love to know a little bit more about you. And one of the questions what was arises is like, how did you grow up?
Yeah, it was, looking back, childhood was beautiful as it always is, and not without its challenges. But that's how we are molded into the men and women that we're here to become, right? And so I grew up in India, to deeply, deeply religious and spiritual parents and families on both sides. So I've been really gifted on that front. That
Beautiful.
it's not just my mom and dad, but even their families, like their parents and their siblings, they're all like very, very spiritual. So I'd been exposed to that right from the beginning. Of course, I went through my own journey of pushing it completely away before I found my own way back to it. But yeah, growing up in India was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was beautiful. I was shut down for quite a bit of my childhood, but that's a different and deeper story if we want to go into it. But I'm really grateful.
Interesting, because I had some experience with some friends. For example, my parents were not like hippies or like alternative or spiritual in their own way, but not how I perceive spirituality. It was more in a religious form. What I could not comply with that, and I wished for hippie parents. And my friend, they have hippie parents, right? And she walked away from them. She was like, no, I just want to have a corporate life. I want to work. I want to do all these things. So I hear this a little bit back in your childhood. Is there something, and would you like to share it with us? What happened in
Yeah.
that period?
Yeah, happy to. Thank you for asking. It was a necessary part of the process, I feel, because it was. I grew up as a Sikh, so I don't know how much you know about Sikhism, but it is a community that sprouted from Hinduism.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful community and religion at this point, and the teachings are very aligned with everything I believe, which is all of us being one organism. There being like one creator, and that's all pervading within the entire organism, and living from a place of service and sharing. So there's a lot of beauty in that path, and at the same time I had to go through my own journey of pushing it completely away. So for me, the presenting reason was, so a part of the Sikh faith is you're not allowed to cut your hair, and
Oh,
so obviously
look
I've
at you
kind of.
now.
So I grew up with long hair, and I never really understood that, especially as a young boy who was a lot into sports and stuff like that. It was just a lot to kind of, not just manage that, but also, I mean, with hindsight, I can see how much it helped me grow into the man that I am today, because it really fed a lot of self-doubt around feeling like an outsider, constantly feeling like, oh, I'm different and I just want to be one of, everyone else. But we also know there's a deeper desire within us to be different from everyone else too. So just kind of those deeper textures sort of playing out. But what kind of really pushed me was, at one point, I think this was when I was just stepping into my teenage years, really beginning to ask the questions of, like, okay, who is this God dude that we talk about, and not really getting answers that were convincing to my mind at the time. And for my parents, it was not even a question. It was like, we don't even know how to answer this question, because it's never a question in our minds. We just have this deep knowing, but for me, it wasn't a knowing. It was a question, right? So I actually pushed that away completely. I went through an atheistic phase, and that was very short-lived. And because it didn't take me long to realize that atheism is an even stronger religion than any other religion out there, because they're both relying on faith, because they're both kind of, saying one and the other, and they are like completely relying on faith, right? So that didn't make sense. So I went through a long phase of just being like, I don't know how to think about this. And, I have other things to worry about. There's all this other stuff happening in my life. So let me not even think about this. So I went through a long stretch of like just being agnostic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but I'm grateful to have found my way back. Like, I can't even imagine life without it right now.
Yeah. Because would you say that like you already said it a bit, but it would form your character now? And I mean, when you grow up in a safe environment where that is a realistic thing already for everybody, and it's normal, that you need to break out and figure it out for yourself, what's more in world, and that even if that means that you will go back, it doesn't matter, but you needed to experience to see what it is on the other side, right?
Right. And, it's different for different people. Like, some of us will never question it. And, that part of our life is like, it's unquestionable. It's like, yeah, I was born into it and it's not even a question. But there's other areas of my life where I have those questions. And so, even in the work of, like, particularly in the work with Jyotish, which is the Vedic astrology piece, it becomes so clear to me how each of us comes with a different, path and a different way we are wired. And so this is how it has unfolded for me, and it continues to, and I see it expressed in many different aspects of my life, not just spirituality. This idea of like diving into it, or kind of immersed in it, but then feeling the need to like really pull away so that I can find my own expression of it.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. So you speak about spirituality. If you would like to give it, like, could you give it some form? Like, how did you notice spirituality as a child? How do you experience it now as an adult? Like, and in what forms, what gifts?
Yeah, I would say for me, spirituality is about trusting the unknown. And it's like, to me, that is the most succinct way I can put it. It's about trusting that there is a process in place that is unfolding every moment, and the process is impeccable. Like, there's not a single detail that hasn't been thought through, that hasn't been taken care of. There's not a single organism out there, some of which we can see, some of which we can't, that is not, deeply been cared for. And to trust that the unfolding is exactly how it's meant to be, and it is in our service. It's not something that we are subject to. It is happening for us, and we are the ones who've kind of created that and come into this human school, if you will, to have the experiences in order to experience this beautiful creation that is a living masterpiece,
And
so that's how I see it.
And do you also feel that, like, some people would even say that everything is already planned, and that it will, whatever you choose, this will happen, and it was already planned? How do you look at that? How do you experience that?
Yeah, this was a question that I sat with for a long time, and I've had deep conversations with my teacher about this. And again, it was in the course of like understanding Jyotish and Vedic astrology where this became really clarified. So there's the default path, Okay. And so each of us comes with a certain imprint energetically. I mean, you're someone who works deeply with energy, so you're very intuitive and you understand this, and you can even feel that from people and yourself, right? So each of us comes with a different energetic imprint. So when we are not aware of what that imprint is, we don't even know how to work with it. So then the energies are going to kind of propel us in a certain direction, which is kind of the default state. Okay. So when we are not conscious, when we are not aware, then yes, there is a certain path that is carved for you, and that's the way you'll go. But that to me is the path of being identifying ourselves as we were speaking earlier, the ego, the small I. Okay. So that is the I, that I am a separate, I'm created, I'm not the creator. So I'm just subject to this path, and this is my destiny, and this is where it will take me. Right? The invitation of life and the invitation of doing conscious deep work is to step out of that identification and to rise above it, and to basically see that we are not just the created, we are also the creators. So now when you understand the path that is laid out for you by default, you get to now say that by default, the energy is going to pull me in this direction, but that's not what I want. That's not what I wish to create in my experience. That's not the legacy I wish to leave behind. And so I get to pivot and I get to shift. And this is where a lot of the practices like breath work, and we do a lot of breath work and in the Himalayan Kriya yoga tradition, which is the practices that I practice personally and share. A lot of
Super
that.
powerful.
Right. Okay. You've had experience with those?
Breath work in general, I find it really, really intense, but powerful. And yeah, wow.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And it's been life-changing for me. And that's why, I feel so passionate about sharing those practices as well. Because there's the physical practice of working with the breath, but there's also the mental understanding of correcting our intellect around how things work. So there's the wisdom piece of it, and then there's a big part of what we work with is mantras, which are again energetic signatures, and that helps us correct a lot of the biocellular memory that we are carrying in our body mind complex, so that the default path that would have otherwise unfolded had we not taken charge and stepped into the seat of the creator will now.
So taking action.
Yes, taking action is a big part of it, and.
Yeah.
This is what in the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the seminal texts in the yogic lineage, Krishna, who's the embodiment of the divine in that, and he shares a lot of beautiful wisdom in there. And one of the things he speaks to is action is inevitable. Like we are taking action every moment. So it's just a question of, are you conscious of what action you're taking? And are you actively taking that action in a direction that you wish to go and what you wish to create? So I don't know if I've answered that question. This was a long-winded way, but basically,
I love it.
Yeah. So there is a default path, and we have full agency to step into being the creators of our path, because that's what we're here for.
So take the wheel back, go behind, and just make the direction of your boat, like make it happen, right?
Yes.
You are in charge.
And make no mistake, it's not easy,
No.
I mean, this.
And I would say make mistakes, because you will, and it's fine.
Well said.
Make no mistakes, you will make mistakes.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's fine. I mean, like we learn from making mistakes, and like it's the same. Like you went a bit off path from the life you grow up with, as if you look at it into that image, but it also leaded you back to where you needed to be, and that's all fine. And you learned and you grow, and you came out stronger, wiser, and you could bring it now into the world as well.
Yeah.
I want to jump a little bit deeper, because, and that's maybe a confronting question, but I love to ask confronting question. But what was your hardest period in your life?
Yeah, I would say it was when I felt totally and completely lost, because it was the point at which I'd realized that the way I was living life wasn't working for me anymore, and coming to terms with the realization that I did not know another way, and yet I needed to let this old way go. And
Yeah.
that felt frightening because my mind did not have any other thing to lean on. So it was literally kind of, jumping into an abyss, trusting that something will, reveal itself in terms of there's got to be another way. I just don't know what it is. And I have no idea how to even navigate knowing, coming to that place of knowing.
And what was that feeling that you felt like, okay, something need to change? This is not feeling aligned.
Yeah, this was this was back when I was living in California at the time, and I was in a long-term relationship with a woman I really loved, and I was doing well in my career. Internally, there was a misalignment, like something didn't feel right, and so I think there was an emptiness. So everything that I've thought I was meant to kind of work towards, all of the external stuff looked beautiful. Like anyone looking from the outside would probably see me as someone who's like, he's doing really well, but
He has
internally,
everything what he wants, or what would make another happy, or something, or what they think it will make them
yeah.
happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And yet the truth was that I was feeling a sense of deep disconnection with my partner, and she was feeling it too. I was not feeling as connected with my work because, it made good money. And at the same time, I was like, there's got to be more to this. My heart is not in this. My heart is not engaged. And so then that relationship kind of came to a stall. We decided to part ways. And at that point, I realized that, okay, none of this is really working. Like even the work stuff, the career stuff, which has been sort of my safety blanket for the longest time, is not giving me the sense of fulfillment that I'm yearning for. I'm doing well. And when I pictured myself in that job for the rest of my life, there was this huge contraction that felt like, is that the life I want to live? And again, no judgment to any of it, right? Because I know, some of my bosses and stuff that they were doing the job that I would probably do in a few years, and they were incredibly happy, and that's their path, and it's beautiful. It was just not mine. So when it became clear to me to kind of move on from that, then I relied on ambition. I relied on ambition so my past life, and actually even this life, but I come from a finance background, a finance and engineering background. And so I worked with an institutional investment management firm. So when I decided that, okay, I needed to move on from here because I didn't know, I needed something to rely on or something to look forward to, I kind of gave myself this goal of, I want to start my own fund. Instead of working for somebody else, I want to start my own thing. And the moment that was hardest for me is where where I realized that was coming from a place of ego. That was coming from a place of pride. That was coming from like a place of fear of like, if I were to let this ambition go, then what am I to do? Like I have nothing to hang on to.
And was it also attached to the image of what you thought you are? So you identified yourself with it?
Yes, that's a very good point. The identification is really the crux of the problem, right? And that was the biggest challenge. How do you move through identifications as garments as opposed to skin? Because the skin is with us, and we are not serpents where we shed skin like they do, right? But if we think of identification as garments, then we hold it loosely. But I did not have this understanding, and certainly understanding alone is also not enough. It takes deep work to actually let go of the many conditioned messages that we've taken on and that we're holding on to, internally, because of what letting go this identification might mean in terms of just our psychological safety. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that. That was kind of a big part of it, for sure.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, beautiful. And so, what would it brought you? Where did it end up? So you said, okay, I know this is not what I want. I don't know where it's gonna head to. So where did it headed to for you?
Yeah. So at that point, when I realized that, okay, that this starting the whole fun thing was coming from a place of ambition, it was a moment of choice. And there was a very clear voice from the heart that, okay, look, you can go do this, but I'm not in it. Okay, so, and I had just spent the past decade or so working through like deep therapy and stuff, and was finally getting in touch with my heart. Because as I had alluded to earlier, I spent a lot of my childhood like really shut down. And it was through this deep work in group therapy and personal therapy and that kind of stuff where like even the concept of what I'm feeling did not exist to me before. It's like I remember my therapist asking me like, what are you feeling? And I'll be like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean what I'm feeling? It was that frustrating. So
I
at
think a
that
lot of men
point,
can relate with that.
right. And I remember it being so visceral and so frustrating that when this moment of choice came and my heart was like, okay, you can go do this fun thing that you want to do, but I'm not going to be in it. I was like, I'm not going back to that life. I'm not going back to a life where I'm not connected to my heart anymore. I have emotions coming up right now, even as I speak about it.
I feel you. I'm with you, brother. I feel you.
Thank you. So at that point, I decided that I'm not going to do that. So I let that ambition go. And then that was the hardest part, where it was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just here and I'm lost. And then it was literally just asking for help, like saying, I need help,
From
But what that is,
above or also from friends, you mean? When you're talking.
Yeah, it was, I think, internally telling myself that I need help.
Yeah.
And then the universe just brings help in the most beautiful ways, in the form of friends, in the form of partners, in the form of guides, teachers, in the form of just nature speaking to you. It's just, magic unfolding around us at all times. It's just that we open our awareness to it. The help is there all
do
around.
You believe that we are born with as they write in the Bible and the Quran, I think like in many other holy books, that we have a free will, that when we came on this planet, we came with a free will. Do you believe in that?
I absolutely do.
So so when like a lot of also spiritual holistic paths, they say as well, like the angels, the spirits, your whatever you call these beautiful beings who are there to support you, your higher self, they can only do something if you ask, because if you have your free will, so they will maybe not like it, the path you are walking, and the moment you say, please give me guidance, please help me, they come in action. I mean, I experience it myself, like a whole team is coming to action, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah, likewise. And I absolutely believe that, because it's a lived experience for me. And for anyone listening for who this is like, oh, this is like way out there, I don't know if I believe this. What you can perhaps consider and be open to is when you tell yourself that, oh, I need help. That moment itself just opens you up to see where help might be available. And so, because the help is always there, but it's just we aren't tuning our attention to it, right? So hopefully this is a lens you can is less kind of out there for someone who's perhaps not as hasn't had that experience in their lived experience yet, right? And so the way I think about it, let's say you decide that I want to buy a car and I want to buy a red car. Suddenly you'll start noticing red cars all around you, right? And that's just your awareness tuning to it. And so that's really what's happening here.
Yeah, and this is also, you can also bring that back. So if you are rising your vibration, and fake it till you make it, I will say to my beautiful clients, fake it till you make it, feel it, enjoy it, celebrate it that you're already there, because you're rising your vibration, and now you can match with the others, and you will feel that there are so many realities in this world, and the question is only, which reality do you want to tune into? And then you will feel that everything will come to you when you are rising your vibration and vibrate on that energy frequency.
Yeah.
Did you experience something equal like that?
Yeah.
Or similar?
So I fully believe that. I know exactly what you're speaking to. And at the same time, just as someone who came from an analytical background in engineering and stuff for that, I was very, very skeptical of that. So I would never kind of, it was the fake it till you make it thing. There's so much wisdom in it, and I had so much resistance to it, And so the way it made sense to me eventually is that, okay, we are incredibly powerful and incredibly creative beings. and we are creating every moment, right? So when we are, the concept of fake it till you make it is really a simpler way of understanding a very, very deep concept, which is that when you set your mind unwaveringly and focus it on something that you really want to achieve or kind of bring into the world or create, then life itself has to bend to you. Like there's a saying in yoga, I'll say it in Sanskrit, and then that's literally the meaning. It's nishchal tatve jivan mukti. It's like when you have an unwavering focus, life has no choice but to bend to you, because you are the creator. You are literally bending space-time in order to create that dent that Steve Jobs has talked about.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to do. And so the fake it till you make it is a beautiful way to capture that very deep concept, but that's what is happening underneath. It's like you are completely focused and you're putting in aligned action to move you ever so little in the direction of that aligned destination that you're moving towards.
Beautiful. Yeah, so definitely you want something, you can feel it, say it, sing it, dance it, but also you have to do something. I think that's key. Not just saying, this is, I hear my manifestations and I will listen to it and now the world will going to change around me. That's not how it's going to work. It's just a small part of the whole structure. We have to really feel it. So that brings me a bit further in our journey. Because if I'm going to ask you, how did you find out what your purpose was in this life and how are you helping now others with it?
Yeah, it's there's the purpose in how we traditionally understand the word purpose, which is like what we do in the world, and there is the living purposefully. So I can speak to the doing in just a second, but the living purposefully is where really what we are here for. Because it's who are you here to be? Because it's from the being that the doing arises, and the doing is just a blossoming of the being. It's like the example that I shared in my TED talk about the rose just blossoming. And then the fragrance of the rose is just kind of coming out of it being the rose. That's it. It's not like the rose is doing anything extra for the fragrance to, fill the world with, right? And so anything we do, so long as it's aligned with who we are here to be, then it just becomes an effortless blossoming of who we are. So purpose to me is really connecting with the clarity of who we are here to become. And at the same time, recognizing that when I say become, it can suggest a certain level of striving for something. Like you are not already there. It's like I'm here, but really I need to become this, right? But the truth is in understanding that there's nothing that you have to do. There's nothing that you have to be other than your most authentic expression. So what your truest, most honest expression is in this moment, no matter how quote unquote ugly it looks to the outside world, no matter how unacceptable it is, no matter how bold it is, for you to kind of bring that, because trusting that is what you're here for in this moment. In the next moment, it might be different. Right? So that is the underlying deepest purpose for us to really come into our most authentic and boldest expression.
Yeah.
How that is manifesting through me in this moment is helping people through the yogic practices to, like through Jyotish, for instance, through Vedic astrology, to really understand how are they wired, what are the energetic signatures that their soul came into this lifetime with. Okay. And also what season of life that they are moving through. That's something that's very unique to Vedic astrology, this idea of season, that you're moving through a certain season that is very specific to you. It's different from me. And so how do you work with that energy and to harness that energy to really move yourself more in the direction of your highest expression? So that's one piece of it. Another big piece of it is so that kind of brings us to a place of clarity of what you truly wish to do.
Has that something to do with astrology?
Astrology is a part of it. It's not all of it.
Yeah, it's a part of it. Okay.
Yeah, it's a part of it. And it's not, and when I speak to astrology, it's the way I work with it is very different. It's not like I'm making predictions. That's our relation to astrology most times. But really here we are trying to understand, okay, what is the energy that I'm being influenced by in this moment? What is the
Like the
season that is
Mayas.
unfolding for me? Sorry?
Like the Mayas. The Mayas had a calendar and with tones, 3 tones, and then they have like all these images and everything was a flow.
Beautiful.
I can share a small story, like quickly
Please.
in between. Like I had a new apartment, and I was scraping that paper off the wall, and I was like scraping for a week, and like I only had like 1 meter gone in the whole house, and I was like, oh my god, I'm just gonna leave it. I'm just gonna paint over this. This is ridiculous, and I just get into this Maya calendar thing, and it popped up in my face again, and I saw. Today is the day of the energy of letting go. So I start taking the paper off, and it was in 1 hour, the whole house, all the paper was gone. And then I was like, wait, what energy was it last week? I was like holding on. I was like, oh my God, dude. It's like if you have this knowledge about what energies are active at this moment, you can like basically as a surfer, you can take that nice wave, right?
Yes.
And you can go with it, or you have to swim against the stream, and it's going to be really, really tiring for you. And that's basically what you're saying. I love this.
Yeah. No,
Working with the energies who are there.
Yeah, exactly. And no, that's a beautiful example. Thank you. And that's exactly why this practice of Vedic astrology has been so potent for me personally and, everyone else that I work with. And that informs the seasons as we spoke to, but it also informs, okay, how are you wired? Like, what are the gifts that you came here with? And also, what are the challenges that you're here to transcend? And so that gives us a deeper lens into your soul's work. But a big part of my work is actually working with people to really uncover the very kernel of what their heart truly desires. And so this is a combination of my work in finance and the yogic work, but it's very, very heart-centered. So even though, finance might seem at odds, right? Like for me, both those, initially there was a tension. It's like, oh, I'm doing this, but I also do this. And it's like they're sitting.
For so many spiritual entrepreneurs, this is the case.
Right. And thankfully, in the course of preparing for the talk that I gave, like I really sat with the question of like, if this was my only chance to share something with the world, what it is that I want to speak to. And then in the course of really distilling that, it just became like, okay, I know exactly how this fits. These two are not separate. They're one, and one is in service of the other. So the finance is in service of us moving in the direction of our highest expression. And the highest expression requires us to get clear about the direction that we're going to go in. And then the yogic practices and the Kriya practices in particular really help us to embody the person that we need to become in order to inhabit the throne that we are here to sit on.
And so like, if you want to explain it to people who have no clue what these practices are, could you explain it a bit? So they can have an image?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Himalayan Kriya Yoga lineage is working a lot with deeper layers of our body. So according to yoga, we have 5 layers to our body.
Mm-hmm.
Traditional yogic practices that we are most familiar with in the West in particular are what we call asana-based practices or posture-based practices. So these are working with the physical layer, or what we call the Annamaya Kosha. And so the physical layer is the outermost and the coarsest layer. As we go deeper, there are 4 additional layers, and each of those is more subtle than the other. Okay, so the next layer is Pranamaya Kosha, and that is the physical manifestation of prana, or the electricity or the life force that is passing through us, is the breath. That's how we access it. That's how we can work with it, right? So there's a lot of breath work that works with the Pranamaya Kosha. Okay. And then the third is the Manomaya Kosha, which is the mental body. So this is where we work with a lot with the mantras, as I spoke to, because that really helps to correct our vibration essentially. Yeah. And then, so as you work with these subtler layers, why is it important or even powerful to work with these subtler layers? The subtler the layer we are working with, the more leverage we have. So for the same amount of effort that you would put, through your physical practice, the amount of transformation you can get when you're working with, mantras and the breath is exponentially higher.
Yeah.
So it really helps release stagnant energy in our biocellular complex, sometimes generational. Some of it that we've just carried in our genes that has nothing to do with anything we've experienced in this lifetime. Even that energy can get dislodged as you are working with the breath, working with the mantras, and working with, some of the other movement practices. So what this looks like in practice is a lot of it is seated. Like a lot of it is seated practice. So if we are not moving as much in terms of how we would in the posture in a vinyasa practice, for instance, but you're working a lot with the breath, you're working with your attention, you're working with mantras, and you're working with movement, like with your arms and stuff like that, to move that energy. So it's really a lot of deep energetic work.
Beautiful. And so if somebody says, Sandeep, you touches me, like I really want to dive deep into it, like, can you give them an idea, like how many hours do I have to make free of my really, really busy life to really start to feel change?
Yeah, well, the answer will surprise you, because it's not how many hours you put in. Of course, the more you put in, the more you get out of it. But it's not so much the hours that you put in, but the consistency with which you show up. And this is, so whether you decide to do a 10-minute practice or a 2-hour practice, yes, you might get more from a 2-hour practice. But even with a 10-minute practice that is done consistently on a daily basis, you will see the impact happen within like 20-21 days.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's a magic number, right?
Yeah. No, it is. It's remarkable just how much it shows up, and just kind of showing up for that minimum level of consistency, what that does internally to us.
So maybe last question, what would you say to somebody who feels lost at this moment?
That I feel you, that I feel how frustrating, how painful it can be. And that to know, not to just have faith or anything, but to know, because I know this deep in my bones that you are deeply loved and deeply held every moment. And there's an incredible deep intelligence that is running the show here, that is beyond you and I, that is beyond what our minds can comprehend and understand. But if you just tune into your heart, you know that is true. So trusting the process, because you are exactly where you're meant to be.
Oh, I was with you and with the energy. So if you're listening to this or if you're looking to us and you really are at that point, really let that energy in. You can listen to it again. So much love and understanding and appreciating for you. And if you need help, you can always come to one of us. We are here to serve, as Sandeep already say. Thank you so much, beautiful brother. And I'm so thankful that you are in this world at this moment, sharing your beautiful sunshine, wisdom, and your love. And I wish you all the best, of course, on your journey. And I hope you can help so many beautiful souls. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, brother. Thank you for your beautiful energy and all the incredible work that you're doing. Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.